What the first thing the Commission should do, they should turn around and stick to what their remit was. Their remit isn't about tasting the dog and all the rest of the bullshit that they're talking about today. Their remit was to look at cases of miscarriage, and a miscarriage of justice is someone who's in prison claiming that they are wrongly incarcerated for something they did not do. And that was the function, supposedly, of the Criminal Cases Review. Now, if they stuck to that, they would have a lot more time, a lot more energy, and they would get through a hell of a lot more cases than instead of playing about with little Mickey Mouse cases. And what they've done, they have walked into the quagmire of their own making. They're now wallowing in so much shit they don't know how to get out of it, and they try to blame the Court of Appeal. Not only that, if the Criminal Cases Review Commission had any guts at all, once they send the case to the Court of Appeal and it gets knocked back, even though, as you've heard, they believe that the case is stonewall innocent. When they get knocked back by the Court of Appeal, what they should do is have the balls to turn around and take that case to the European Court of Human Rights. Thank God we do have a higher court than the kangaroo courts in England. But they haven't done it yet, and the sooner they do, because if they do take the cases to the European Court, believe me, we will win hands down in so many of our cases. It's only a part of the problem. As I say, the first thing we've got to do is try and stamp out miscarriages. It's no good trying to get convictions overturned. And another sad thing is about that when you do get your conviction overturned, you're thrown out in the street like a sack of garbage. And I must confess, when I left prison, if anyone had said to me, you won't be able to handle the outside world, I would have laughed in the face. After what I've gone through for 16 and a half years living in a war zone, because that's what dispersal prisons are. I was in Parkhouse. 64.8% of the people in Parkhouse were in for serious mental disorders. They were ex-Broadmoor, Ramp and Iceford House. People that were ready to drop the hat. And the sad thing about it is, half of them would do it and a half an hour later they wouldn't even remember they'd done it. This is the sort of people you have to live with. You live on your nerves 24/7 in tension. And prison kills you a little bit at a time, every day. And one day in prison, after so many years, you're suddenly waking up, and believe me, you don't feel a thing. You don't care about fuck all after that. I'm married again. I'm married, I live up in Scotland. I don't sleep with my wife. I don't even sleep in the same room with her. Not because I don't want to, because I can't. I can't sleep in a room with anyone, not even a hotel room. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I go to sleep. An hour or so later, I'm up. The heart's racing, the adrenaline's pumping, sweating, tension. And this is all. And I'm waking up every morning, and the only thing I think about, I smoke weed, by the way, 24/7. I've been smoking cannabis for nearly 50 years, and fuck the government, and even telling me it's wrong. I'm going to carry on smoking as long as I want it, not what they tell me to do. But anyway, I get up in the morning, and for the first hour, I sit and I drink 3 or 4 mugs of coffee, and I have a few pipes of weed and smoke. And all that I have going round in my head is going and loading up guns and walking into the police station saying, fuck you, and shooting every one of them. And I think of that every day. And believe me, there's times when it's come that close to it. I've been trying, it's no good getting people out of prison and just leaving them to their own devices. We have been diagnosed by Professor Gordon Turnbull, who's one of the leading forensic psychiatrists in the world in respect of trauma. He treated the Beirut hostages, Vietnam veterans, etc., the Falklands. And he's turned around and stated that he has never come across anyone so severely traumatized as we who have come out of prison. We're the most severely traumatized people he has ever met in his life. I live up in Scotland, as I say, I've been trying to get help for years. The government has set up a number of organisations, SACRO, Hope, Unlock, etc., to help people come out of prison. And I know all these people, I've beat them, I've got it in writing from them. And I beat them to get help from way back in the 90s, and they turn around and tell me, we would love to help you, but we're not allowed to. And I said, what do you mean you're not allowed to? Because they're government funded, their remit is for the resettlement and the rehabilitation of guilty offenders. And because we're innocent, they're not allowed to help us. They can't take a box, so we don't get any help. I went to my doctor. I've been getting worse over the last, 7 or 8 years. I'm nearly 70 years of age. And I sit in the house sometimes, and I just close down. Every week I do this. I sit and I'll be watching the television, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody throwing a switch in here. Then all of a sudden, I'll come back, and I'll say to the wife, who turned the telly over? She says, look, what do you mean? When I was watching so, she looks at me, you get a grip on yourself. That's been over about 3 hours ago. I think it's only 5 minutes or something. Switch off. There's other times I sit in the house and I sit there for days and I cry my eyes out like a child. And I don't even know what I'm crying for. And my wife can't get through to me. Nobody can. And it's not just me. I have people phoning me at all hours of the day and night. Miscarriage of justice victims, because they're going through a bad time. And I don't know what it is, but for so many of them, they sort of look up to me. I'm like a sort of father figure or whatever it is to them. Hey, it doesn't bother me. That's what I'm there for, to look after them. And I'm in contact with probably more miscarriage of justice victims than anyone else in the country. And we are all having the same problem. And the sad thing about it, particularly in today's society, so many of the innocent people that are coming out of prison today, whilst they are in prison, they have turned to heroin and tried heroin in the jail. And when they come out, and they start, I try to tell people when they come out, I'm not a counsellor, I need counselling myself, I need help. But I try to tell them what's going to happen to them. And I can sit down with someone, like if someone come out of jail tomorrow, I can sit down with them, talk to them. And you see, within an hour, I will tell you roughly to the week how long it's going to take that person before they start breaking down. Yes, you come out and you're on a high, but you see, when that high goes and you hit the floor, that's when your problems begin. Then you start becoming a hermit because you're not used to crowds. In prison, if somebody bumps into you in prison, the first thing that's in your head, get a blade, stab him, because he's going to do the same to you. People in prison, you look at them the wrong way, they're in your face, what are you looking at? Next thing you know, the paranoia is in and they come at you with a blade. And when you come out here, after living like that in a war zone for 15, 20, 25 years, whatever the case may be, then they throw you out in the street and tell you to get on and live a normal life. What's normal to you people is not normal to us in prison. And then people start hiding away. They start losing heroin. They start taking the drink. And another thing I don't understand is alcohol. I have the odd can of Guinness, the odd pint of Guinness, but very rare I don't touch alcohol. And guys that come out of prison, whatever it is about their system, they have a great capacity for alcohol. They can sit there and they can drink bottles of vodka and they don't seem to get drunk. And I tell them, hey, you're going to end up an alcoholic. And I've seen so many of them come out that have ended up drugs, alcohol, and it just compounds the problem. So getting people out of problem is just one of the things you should be concentrating on is what the hell you do with them after you get out. And I try to prepare families for what is going to happen. Because what you get out of prison isn't what went in. The only thing that you're getting out of prison is the shell. What's inside them is completely and utterly changed beyond all belief. Believe me. And the families then don't understand them. And before long, the families start falling apart. I have seen so many families that have fought and stuck together like that during the time the person has been in prison. And within 6 to 12 months of that person getting out, the families are at war with each other. I don't know what happens to them, but it's all because there is no help. And I get very angry because I look around what happens in the last 20 years. The Martinez, the Potter's Bar, Train Christ, all the rest of them. And every time something like that happens, the government is rushing counsellors, etc. to help them. Not one innocent victim that has come out through the courts has ever been given any help today. Not one. And the reason why they don't do it is because, you see all them people, the Marchioness, Potter's Bar, Lockerbie, those things have come about through the actions of an individual or individuals or an accident. What happened to us was not accidents. What happened to miscarriage of justice victims? We are victims of the state, and the state do not want to recognise that, and that is why they do nothing to help us. And the sooner we force them to do it, the better. Yeah. I've been advocating for a long time that they should set up a trauma centre for us, because that is what's needed. But to date, we did have consultations with the last administration, the Labour, and this is a very important thing. We went to see the Justice Minister, Maria Eagles, 17th of December 2009, I beg your pardon. Well, no, 2007, we went to see her. And she turned around, me and Jerry Conlon, and we were with a half a dozen MPs. Willie Lanny from Scotland, Mark Durkan, the head of the SDLP from Ireland, Roberts and a few others. And Mary Eagles came through the door and she walked up to me and Jerry Conlon and she put her arms around us and she hugged me and Jerry Conlon. And she had tears in her eyes. He turned around and said to me and Jerry Conlon, I want to apologise to you two personally for what happened to you. I have just finished reading your files in the back room, and I want to tell both of you now, you were not miscarriages of justice. You were something else. And believe me, we know that. That is why the then DPP, Miss Barbara Mills, who's now deceased, the week that the magistrate threw the cops out of court and said they wouldn't get a fair trial, that was on a Thursday. On the Monday, she went into court and she turned around and stated that she was putting a 75-year ruling on the Birmingham 6 and guilt for 4 case papers. And we are the only cases in the country, irrespective of innocence or guilt, terrorist or criminal cases, our cases are the only one that has a 75-year ruling on them. And we know why. Because just like the police told us in 1974, we were deliberately selected by members of the 1974 Labour government, even though they knew that we were innocent. And the worst thing of all is that 20 odd years later, you find out that the Birmingham police had an informer in the Birmingham IRA who went, after they seen our names on television, and went to his handlers and told them, listen, you've got the wrong people. And he made a detailed statement. He gave them the names of the 2 people who made the bombs, where they made them, and he gave them the names of the 3 people who came along an hour or so later, picked them up and planted them. And those are the same people that Chris Mullen identified in Ireland. And one of them, the police actually had in custody, and he had 12-year sentence on other conspiracies, and they never charged any of them. And the reason why, because they don't want the answer, because they don't want to be shown just how evil, rotten and corrupt the system is. The system is wonderful if you're guilty, but believe me, if you're innocent, it's your worst nightmare come true. And I hope and pray that none of you ever find yourselves in the position that I, Eddie Guilfoyle, Susie and so many others have found themselves in. Remember, when you leave here today, you're going to leave with the greatest gift you'll ever be given. It's a gift of freedom. I hope and pray it's never taken away from you. Thank you. Yeah.